Et nous passerons ensuite à la période de questions. Alors, sans plus tarder, je cède la parole à Mme Christine Fréchette, la première ministre du Québec.
Merci. Bonjour à tous.
Thank you very
J'aimerais
much. Good
débuter en
afternoon,
saluant les
everyone.
personnes là, qui m'accompagnent.
And I want to introduce the people with me, the Mayor of Montreal, as well as the Deputy Premier and the Minister of Domestic Safety, Chantal Rouleau, the Minister responsible for Montreal, and Mr. Bess, the Mayor of Pierrefonds, who is also responsible for public safety. So, of course, the tragic events that occurred today have deeply upset Montrealers and Quebecers, and I myself am deeply shocked by what happened. So on behalf of the government of Quebec and my own name, I want to extend my sincere condolences to the families of the people who lost their lives. I also want to express support for people, including the police, and everyone who has been in any way affected by this tragedy. I will ask the President of the National Assembly to put the flag at half-mast. With respect to police officers and first responders and emergency personnel and all of the responders who were mobilized on the ground, I want to say that their professionalism and their courage and dedication were critical in this circumstance. And as the police operation and the investigation are still underway, it's important to allow the authorities a chance to do their work and avoid all speculation. I also want to reassure people, saying that all the necessary steps are being taken to ensure the safety of all citizens and all those affected by today's tragedy. Police services are fully mobilized and are working in close cooperation with their partners to protect the citizens and shed light on these events. And indeed, I want to thank the people who are with me at the table here, because we were in contact all afternoon, and there's very close cooperation that is underway. The Quebec government is offering its full cooperation to the authorities responsible, and will be here to support all victims as well as their families and the community that's been affected. Of course, Santé Québec has also said it's prepared to deploy psychological services to those that need them. Citizens can also request assistance by calling 811 and choosing option 2. So these actions certainly have no place within our society. And we remain fully in solidarity with all and are prepared to support everyone who requires that support. And now, I will say a few words in English.
The tragic events that unfolded today have deeply shaken the people of Montreal and, more broadly, all Quebecers. And I'm personally deeply shocked and saddened by what has occurred. On behalf of the government of Quebec and on my own behalf, I would first like to extend my most sincere condolences to the families and loved ones of those who lost their lives doing their duty. My thoughts are also with those who were injured, the members of our police services, and all those who have been affected directly or indirectly by this tragedy. I've asked the President of the National Assembly to lower the Quebec flag to half-mast. And I would like to thank the police officers, first responders, emergency personnel, and all those working on the ground. Their professionalism, courage, and dedication are essential circumstances in such circumstances. As the police operation and investigation are still ongoing, it is important to allow the authorities to do their work and to avoid speculation. Above all, I want to reassure the public. Every necessary measure is being taken to ensure the safety of our citizens and to secure the affected locations. Police services are fully mobilized and are working closely with their partners to protect the public and shed full light on these events. The government of Quebec is offering its full cooperation to the responsible authorities and will remain present to support the victims, their loved ones, and the affected community. Also, Santé Québec has confirmed that it is prepared to deploy psychological support services for any teams that may need help. And citizens can also seek assistance by calling 811 and dialing option 2. These acts are reprehensible and have no place in our society. In the face of this ordeal, we will remain united, supportive, and determined to stand by all those affected. Thank you.
Merci.
Je maintenant la mairesse de Montréal.
Merci, Madame la Première
Thank you, Madam Premier.
Aujourd'hui, Montréal est
Today,
profondément
Montreal is
par les événements
deeply,
tragiques
deeply
survenus
shaken
dans
by the tragic events that
Au nom de
occurred today.
l'ensemble des
On
Montréalais
behalf
et
of all
Montréalaises,
Montrealers,
j'offre mes plus sincères
I want to
condoléances
extend my
aux
sincere
familles,
condolences to the families and loved ones and colleagues of the
Nos
victims.
pensées accompagnent
Our thoughts
tous
are
ceux et
with
celles,
all
toutes les
those,
personnes
all
touchées
individuals
par ce
who
drame.
have been affected by this
La
tragedy.
grande famille du
The SPVM family is mourning. These are extremely difficult times. And I want to salute the professionalism, courage, and calm of the police officers who responded under extremely dangerous conditions in order to protect residents. Their commitment to the safety of our city warrants our full appreciation. In these difficult times, Montreal is united through mourning, solidarity, and support for all those who are bearing the weight of this event. We here in Montreal will also put the flag at half-mast so that all Montrealers can mourn with the SPVM.
Today, Montreal is deeply shaken by the tragic events that took place in Côte-des-Neiges. On behalf of all Montrealers, I extend my deepest condolences to their families, the loved ones, and colleagues of the victim. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by this tragedy. The entire SPVM family is grieving today. These are incredible, difficult moments. And I want to acknowledge the courage, the professionalism, and the composure shown by the SPVM officers who responded under extremely dangerous circumstances in order to protect the public. Their commitment to the safety of our city deserves our deepest gratitude. In these difficult times, Montreal stands united in grief, solidarity, and support for all those carrying the weight of this tragedy. As a sign of mourning, Montreal will also flaunt a half-mast, the flag, so all Montrealers can support the SPVM in this very tragic day. Thank you.
J'invite maintenant le vice-premier ministre et ministre de la Sécurité intérieure, M. Yann Lafrenière.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Merci,
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wanted to start by saying that the police operation is now completed. So if people were worried as to whether they should remain confined, I can confirm that the operation is over. There is still an investigation perimeter. The investigation is not over. It has been turned over to the Bureau of Independent Investigations. And the structure of the police and other organizations has been mobilized, and I can tell you that that is the case. I want to thank the police organizations, the Sûreté du Québec, the RCMP, our federal colleagues, everyone. Everyone has been mobilized to provide support. And of course, my first thoughts are for the families of the victims, for their loved ones. Our thoughts are with them, as well as the injured police officer. And for the police officer who died and made the ultimate sacrifice, he will never be forgotten. That is our duty, to remember him. And on behalf of all Quebecers, I can say he will never be forgotten. I also want to end with this message. Following this event, there were a number of videos that appeared on social media, in particular, where you can see police officers wearing their vests and falling. And I think that people have been injured and died in this event. So we mustn't desensitize this kind of event, and those videos should not be shared. The investigation will give us the full details.
This is a tough moment for Montrealers. This is a tough moment for all the Quebecers. The Montreal police have lost a member of his family. He's fallen, but he'll never be forgotten. Now they stand down all the operation in terms of fighting someone that was shooting. The suspect was neutralized. So the threat was neutralized. There's no need for people to stay inside the buildings. But that had been said, there's still a perimeter because we still got an investigation ongoing with le Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes. And I just want to thank everyone from the oppositions, everyone that, reached out today saying, you know what, if we can do something, we're there. RCMP, Montreal, Laval Police, Longueuil, the SQ, our friend from the Federals. So everyone was gathering together saying, you know what, we're there to help. And for now, let's leave the investigation from the BA to bring all the light on that tragic event. Thank you.
Merci. J'invite maintenant la ministre responsable de la métropole et de la région de Montréal, Mme Chantal Rouleau.
Chantal Rouleau.
Mes pensées accompagnent
My thoughts
les familles et
are
les
with the
proches
families
des
and loved
victimes
ones
et
of the
toutes les
victims
personnes qui
and
sont touchées par
all
cette
people who have been
tragédie
affected
qui
by
est
this
très grave, qui est
tragedy,
arrivée
which
à
is
Montréal.
very
Ça
serious.
n'arrive jamais à Montréal, et
This
c'est
type
arrivé
of thing
aujourd'hui.
never happens in Montreal, but it did happen today. And I want to extend my sincere thanks to all the emergency services, the police, of course, and all the first responders who mobilized to act as quickly as possibly on the ground in extremely difficult circumstances. So a huge vote of thanks to all those people who showed great courage. I also want to thank the City of Montreal and all our partners who were involved
dans cette journée très triste.
In this very sad day.
Une enquête est actuellement
An
en
investigation
cours.
is now
Et je veux
underway,
inviter la
and I would like to invite
respecter
residents
les
to please
consignes
respect
des
the
autorités
instructions they
et surtout
receive
à
from
éviter
authorities
toute
and to avoid
spéculation.
any kind of speculation.
C'est important de laisser
It is important
les enquêteurs
to allow
faire
the
leur
investigators to do their job.
travail. Si des gens éprouvent
And
de la détresse,
If people are feeling
ils sont invités à
distress,
composer le
they
811.
can call
Ils
811
trouveront
and
des ressources
will
pour,
be able
pour
to
les
access
aider à passer à
resources to
travers
help
ce
them to
moment,
get through
très difficile.
this very
Ce
difficult
sont des
time.
événements qui sont
These are
rares,
events that are
très
rare,
rares à
very
Montréal,
rare in Montreal,
et ils nous bouleversent tous
and we are all collectively shaken by them.
Montréal est en deuil
And
aujourd'hui. Je remercie la
Montreal
première
is
ministre
mourning
de
today, and I want to
laisser
thank the Premier
le drapeau du
for
Québec ainsi que la
placing
mairesse
the
pour le
flag at
drapeau,
half-mast,
de Montréal.
and of course the Mayor of
il est
Montreal for
important
doing the
que nous
same.
soyons tous,
Of course, it is very
solidaires
important that we show
unis
solidarity,
dans cette
that we be
épreuve qui nous
united
touche,
in the midst of this ordeal that affects us
My
all.
thoughts are with the families and loved ones of the victims, and with everyone affected by this tragedy. Montreal is mourning today, and we stand together in solidarity during this difficult time. I want to thank the emergency responders, police officers, and all personnel involved. As the investigation continues, I encourage everyone to follow authorities' instructions and avoid speculation. Thank you very much.
Merci. J'invite maintenant le responsable de la sécurité et de la prévention au comité exécutif de la Ville de Montréal, M. Jim Bess, à prendre la parole.
Jim Base.
Merci avant tout.
Thank
mes
you.
condoléances
First of all, I
les
want to
plus sincères,
extend my sincere
sûrement à
condolences
la famille,
to
les
the
amis,
families and
le
friends,
corps policier,
the police
les femmes et
officers,
les hommes qui se
the
lèvent
women
à
and
chaque
men
matin
that get up every morning
avec une mission,
with a single mission,
protéger.
which is to protect us.
Je remercie aussi
I
le
also want to
gouvernement de
thank the
Québec,
government of Quebec,
Madame la Première ministre,
the Premier,
Madame la ministre, Monsieur le ministre,
the
Sûrement
ministers,
ma mairesse,
and the Mayor of Montreal, of course, for the work that we are carrying out collaboratively. That has been going on for some time, but particularly in the light of the flooding that has occurred that we're managing now, but also through this event that we're just trying to get through.
My condolences to the family, friends, our entire police force, who every day wake up with one sole mission: to protect us and to hope that they make it home safely to their families. I want to take the opportunity as well to thank the Quebec government, our Premier, the ministers here at the table, for their strong collaboration in the last little while, but also as we pass this unimaginable, incredibly difficult moment for all of Montrealers, particularly those that protect and serve. Merci.
Merci. Nous allons maintenant passer à la période de questions. Donc, j'invite les journalistes à se présenter aux deux micros, deux extrémités de
There
la
are two
salle.
microphones in the room if you wish to ask a question.
Je vous demande de respecter la
There are
consigne
very
de questions par
many of
journaliste.
you,
On va
so
prendre
one
les
question per
premières
journalist.
questions en français, suivi des questions en
We'll
anglais.
begin with
Et
questions in
nos
French,
invitations
followed by
dans-
questions in English.
Merci, on commence ici.
Bonjour, Annie Guillemette au 98.5, à qui voudra bien répondre. À Montréal, vous l'avez dit,
Now,
Rouleau, ça arrive pas
you
souvent,
said,
ce
Ms.
genre
Rouleau,
d'événement-là,
that this type of
heureusement.
event does not
Et
occur
c'est
very often,
souvent
fortunately,
dû à un
and it's
loup sanitaire,
often
ce qui laisse- c'est encore ça que l'enquête jusqu'à
due
maintenant nous
to
laisse croire. C'est ce que Monsieur Dagan disait
these
tantôt.
kinds
C'est
of
quoi votre
things.
sentiment
What is your
de
feeling
justement
now
pas nécessairement pouvoir prévoir
in
ce
terms
genre
of your
d'événement
ability to
Oui,
predict
merci
this
beaucoup,
type of
Monsieur.
event?
Oui,
Thank you.
Le dernier décès remonte à 24 ans. Pour un
Well,
policier au centre
the
Ferrada,
last
qui-
such event happened 24 years ago, and I remember it very clearly.
Ces cicatrices-là qui étaient
And
pas si profondes,
those
finalement.
scars
Et,
have been
c'est difficile à
reopened.
prévoir, mais vous
It's
savez,
difficult to
récemment,
predict,
à
but as you
l'automne
know,
dernier, on a mis
last
beaucoup de
fall,
ressources en place pour la
we
prévention.
introduced a lot of
Ça
prevention-based
peut mettre,
services,
une façon d'aider.
and that
On a
is one
décidé
way of
aussi d'être plus
assisting,
actifs
but we
en
also
matière de
decided to
renseignement.
be
On est
more
capable de détecter ce qui
active
se
when it
passe.
comes to intelligence, be sure we know what's going on. And of course, I'll let the investigation take its course, and I don't want to suggest I know what is going to be the result. But in a city that's very, very safe, and we can remind ourselves every day that it's important to be prudent. We all know what happened at Dawson College, and between what we knew at the beginning and what we knew at the end, things changed. So there's a lot of information circulating, I realize that, but I think we need to be cautious and wait to know what really happened. And we've seen cases like this before, where people started firing, and it's only later that we know what was their motivation. So we will do what we have to do.
Madame la Première ministre voulait ajouter quelque chose?
Non, je pense que ça a été,
No, I think that was a very comprehensive answer.
Adi Hassine de TVA Nouvelle, bonjour à vous tous. Ma question
Good
est pour
afternoon,
Monsieur
all
le
of you.
vice-premier ministre, Monsieur Lafrenière.
My question is for
Selon des sources qu'on a
Minister
consultées au cours de
Lafrenière.
la journée,
Based
on apprend que
on
le suspect
sources
partit de
we saw,
l'Alberta.
we
Est-ce que
have
les services
seen that
policiers
the suspect
québécois,
came from
dont la SQ
Alberta.
a suffisamment de
Was
ressources
now,
aujourd'hui
would you say that
pour
the
prévenir
SQ
des
has
menaces
enough
en provenance de
service
l'extérieur de la province?
resources to
Ce que je mentionnais
prevent
tout à l'heure, c'est,
incidents
rapidement, la
coming
structure
from
de
outside the
gestion
province?
policière contre le terrorisme
Well,
a été
the
mise en place
counter-terrorist
depuis plusieurs années.
part of the police structure has been mobilized. And did we have any reasons to think that that person was going to engage in this kind of activity? Now, we don't know what the means were. And when it comes to intelligence, we know that the world has changed now. We could think of other nations that try to interfere in our processes and what we do here in Quebec. So we created that domestic safety unit to focus a lot on intelligence. But once again, I think we need to be cautious in terms of what happened, what the motivation was, and every single time we learn something. All police organizations are learning organizations. We base ourselves on what has happened elsewhere, and right now we have a lot of information to use as that basis. Now, apparently the suspect left a manifesto which is online, accessible to all. Does that worry you? Well, as the father of two children, of course, I cannot ignore the impact of something like that. And I'm sure you remember when we were looking for Luca Magnotta, and there were messages that were out there. Now, I'm not trying to hide information, but I think we need to be cautious. Now, there are still police officers working on this, and if there are things that must be done, they will get done. But I want to be cautious, and people could be very surprised. Can you confirm the identity of the police officer who died? No, we will not do that, and I'll tell you why. There are still members of the family to be contacted. So the least amount of respect requires that we not divulge that. A question for Mr. Lafrenière again. Can you confirm that the suspect is from Alberta, or is this a tip that the police are following? I will not confirm that. I can confirm that the investigation is being done by the BEI, and the way we work is we get a separate organization to carry out the investigation. When there are deaths and when there are shots fired, it automatically is given over to the BEI. You have mentioned that shooting in Montreal is rare, but not something that never happens, including at Polytechnique and at Dawson. Now, what do you have to say to Montreal's and to people in Côte-des-Neiges? Is Montreal still a safe city? Yes, Montreal is a safe city, and we're doing everything we can to ensure it remains that way. But as has been said, we are not immune from tragedies like this that happen around the world. Now, safety remains our very top priority. And in fact, we want to update our response mechanisms and the tools available to authorities and police. And that's exactly what we did by creating the domestic safety unit. We want to bring these resources together because we know that the groups that we're facing off against have these tools, new technology, artificial intelligence, and drones, and so forth. So we need to have the necessary equipment in place to battle those forces. But the fact is that Montreal remains a safe city, and we will do everything we can to ensure it stays that way. As the Premier has just said, Montreal is a safe city. If you look at statistics when it comes to crime, obviously, this is not a city like many other large cities. We're a very safe city where the crime rate is actually going down. Now, do we have to be vigilant? Definitely, we have to be vigilant about new types of crime, whether they are based on artificial intelligence or other technologies. We're seeing new types of crimes, and so there needs to be greater vigilance, and there also has to be more work done with young people in Montreal to ensure that our city will remain safe. We want there to be alternatives out there for them. Now, this kind of intangible crime that we see on social media is a bit more difficult to tackle and address based on traditional means used by the police, because it happens in in a much more difficult space where it's more difficult to tackle. But in future, I think what we need is to work with all the communities, and in fact, we want to develop vigil communities in all neighborhoods. Jim is working on this. This was in his mandate letter, because a village means we all have to work together, and our responsibility is to ensure that our city is safe, and that doesn't depend only on the police. It depends on our communities that must work together and be there to look out for others. And that's what we're going to be working on in the next months. I would say that Montreal is a very safe city, but what is happening is extremely rare. And every day the men and women wearing the uniform are out there to ensure that the city is safe. And I've seen many other cities in the world who would be envious of our situation. This is a safe city, and as the mayor and the premier have said, at the same time, we have to look at what is changing around us. Some people can become radicalized, and it's working with residents that we can get the best results. And so if people see things, they have to report those things to authorities. But I'm very pleased to be in a safe city like Montreal. Yes, I agree with you. There are a lot of rumors that have been circulating, but I would like to have confirmation of some rumors. The information we have will be provided by the BEI. We know that there is information circulating, but I think we have to wait to determine the facts. In terms of exactly what happened, apparently it was the shooter who called 911. Can you give us some information about that? No, we cannot provide any information about that. I'm sure you understand that we're here this afternoon and we want to be transparent, but it's the BEI that's in charge of the investigation. And if we want to ensure the proper results, we have to let the BEI do its work. Confirming or not confirming information would be contaminating the investigation. So that's the way it is.
Jesse Fife, the Montreal Gazette. Mr. Lafreniere, I'd like to hear you in English about the challenges in stopping these sort of events before they happen and the efforts that Quebec makes in preventing them.
Yes. But first of all, as soon as we had enough information, the structure de gestion policière contre le terrorisme was launched, was in place, gathering, intelligence from different agencies. So this is a Canadian program. We just want to make sure that we share all intelligence, all information that we get. So it was, yes, it was on, but finally it was excluded in terms of a terrorism attack. That have been said, the reason why we create a Ministère de la Sécurité Intérieure is because we want to gather more intelligence. Instead of working by silos, we want to work all together. This is one of the purpose of the Ministère de la Sécurité Intérieure, because yes, the threat is different. We do see what's going on in different places. Our world has changed, unfortunately, so we need to react to that. But Montreal is a safe city, and that's the reason why we're reacting today, because this is so surprising, because this is not the Montreal that we know about. Last time a police officer was shot, this is 24 years ago, and I do remember that. I was there. But and I'm happy to live in the city where we're surprised at that, because this is not our day-to-day life. This is not what Montreal is about.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. Maybe I would just continue on that same subject. It's a difficult day for Montreal. It's a very sad day. It'll be challenging days to come. What's your message to Montrealers, and maybe specifically people in Côte-des-Neiges who are shaken by today and might not feel safe anymore?
I would like to tell them that they have to, I know it's difficult to feel that today, in order to tell them that they can be safe and they are safe, because we have a police officers that somebody lost his life to protect citizens in Côte-des-Neiges and DG. We have a system that is all hands on deck to make sure that our people are safe. And I know today it's difficult, but tomorrow they have to know that they are safe, because the city and the government and everybody is making sure that they are. I'll be going around in Côte-des-Neiges and DG tomorrow morning with the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges and DG to reassure our communities, to show that we're there for them. And I think all Montrealers today are feeling with the community of Côte-des-Neiges and DG. And if they want to speak with somebody, if they want to make sure that they need to talk to somebody, the Premier gave a number, 811. Please call if you have information. Call also the police to give that to the BA, to give that information. But they can feel safe because we have police officers that are there to, to make sure that we are.
Merci. Dernière question en anglais ici.
Charlotte Laurier, the Canadian Press. Are you able to confirm the identity of the citizen that was killed?
Not at this moment, no. We won't.
Thank you.
And again, that's going to be released by the BAE, and, as you might remember, I've been doing that job for quite a while, and as soon as we transferred the investigation to BAE, we need to stop giving information, because if not, what will be the purpose of that? If we're still, giving out information and maybe guide people in one direction, if we want to be completely transparent, we transfer that to the BAE. So they'll be answering, but for the moment, we'll keep all the details on their side because of that.
Thank you. Merci. Une dernière question là-bas.
Can you explain in English what you said about whether the civilian might have been shot by a police officer?
We heard all the rumors, we saw all the videos, and again, we said to be careful about that because, first of all, this is a part of the proof. Secondly, let's be honest, let's remain human. We're talking about people that literally died being filmed. So I'm asking people not to share those videos. That have been said, there have been some rumors, there have been some information stating that the civilian was shot by a police officer. This is not that kind of information that we can share at this moment. It's really the Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes that will conduct the investigation, and this is their duty to first to conduct the investigation with the SQ. This is the neutral organization that was involved with that, and we'll see what are the results. But for the moment, we're not going to do any comments about that.
Thank you. Last question. Can you explain how investigators are looking at how this could be related to movement outside the province?
But first of all, because of the event, and I'm sure you've been through the day and you saw that it was taking a while. So during that moment, for sure, all the different agencies have been involved in that, including la structure de gestion policière contre le terrorisme. And this is all the partners, including our CMP. So they gathered intelligence information, whether or not we could have believed it could have been linked to something else. Rumors earlier were talking about an event in Saskatchewan that could have been linked to. So, and believe me, it's not the case at all. We're talking about domestic violence. But finally, it was not considered as a possible terrorism